you saying that all of this? Are you saying that all of this sort of explosion of mental health is part of the snowflake generation, rather than it being genuine mental health problems?
Well, I think the term mental health is where we probably need to look first. It's great that people are talking about things, that it's not so bad anymore, particularly for a man to say, I've got a problem. But mental implies there's something wrong with your head, and health implies that there's some kind of medication required. And I don't believe either are true. I think for the vast majority of people who are reporting a so-called mental health problem, it's really to do with their emotion. So the question isn't then what's wrong with you, it's actually what's happened to you. And so if we can get people to keep talking to their friends, to their family, and to get people to realize that it's very often repressed emotion that's the cause of problems, then they don't need medication, don't need to go and see a therapist over a long period of time to talk about stuff. You can talk about stuff with your friends. If you want to go and see a therapist, that's absolutely cool. And there are some really, really good ones. But too many people I see say, I've been seeing a therapist for years. And I'm saying, well, what happens when you stop? I couldn't stop because my problems would get worse. So it doesn't feel, from an engineer's perspective, and that's my background, that we're actually getting to the root cause of the problem. And I think the root cause for many people is actually their emotions.
So is it possible that, for example, employers don't do enough to try and help their members of staff who say they've got mental health issues? I mean, I read somewhere that the Mental Health Foundation said that the cost of mental health problems is £1,652 per employee per year. So is there more that employers could do to help before it gets to the point of going to a therapist?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, we've got to look at the work environment and ask ourselves, is that conducive to good health, to good emotions? We talk about emotional intelligence, but we don't really talk about emotional health. So having a management style, if you like, which is predicated on the whole person, rather than just demanding more and more, that requires managers to be less scared of having people speak up and having a more participative approach. And when you do let people participate, well, funnily enough, their performance at work gets better and the so-called mental health will be better too. So these two things should be going hand in glove. Better productivity and better mental health go together.
You talked about before it'd be better if we were speaking maybe more to our friends and not having to go to a sort of a therapist, which is obviously an industry in its own right. So I would have thought more people are talking more than ever before. They're writing stuff, they're talking about stuff, they're emoting on every level. Is it that we've become more of a victim society, therefore we want to find something wrong with ourselves as well?
Well, that's a really interesting point and potentially a controversial one. I think it was the American psychiatrist, I think it was an author and psychiatrist, I think his name was Peck, said his one despair from professional practice is people refusing to take personal responsibility. And I think that's where we can all sort of take a leaf from his book and say, well, how am I not taking personal responsibility here? Am I trying to blame something? Am I trying to make an excuse? Or am I really going to own my situation and work out for myself what I can do? Now, it may be that people do need help to take those steps. But it really says if you can put yourself at cause for what's going on in your life, then you've got a much better chance of being able to do something about it.